Coming up on Valley View News, UCLA students want their school to invest in tuition, not weapons. Plus, parents are protesting an Inglewood Elementary School shutdown. And an umpire shortage is affecting high school baseball.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Natalie Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth Campos in the Digital Media Center.
A draft of a Supreme Court decision leaked to the press suggested overturning Roe v. Wade. The case was Dobbs versus Jackson. Afterwards, many pro-choice protesters erupted in cities like Denver, Chicago, Atlanta, and Houston. There were demonstrations in Southern California as well. Angelenos protested in downtown Los Angeles. We spoke to some CSUN students and faculty members about the leaked draft.
We shouldn't be making laws about women's bodies, and that is how I feel. And that is how I'll always feel.
Women has the rights to choose from. They don't need a system to tell them like, hey, what to do with their bodies.
I feel like we are going backwards as a society.
If Roe v. Wade is overturned, more than 20 states could put harsh limitations on abortions.
In the meantime, the Marshal of the Supreme Court is investigating the leak. It's the first time in history the Marshal started an internal investigation. They want to find out who leaked the opinion draft. Attorney General Merrick B. Garland wouldn't say if the Justice Department's help was requested.
The document is not a final decision of the court, and I don't want to talk about the deliberative processes of the court. But what I will say is that the Justice Department has steadfastly been committed to defending the right to abortion.
The leaked draft was dated February 10th, 2 months after the hearing. Never before has a draft opinion been leaked to the press.
The LA County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to support a bill that will create a reproductive health care pilot project. Senate Bill 1245 would safeguard a woman's access and abortion no matter where she lives. The county wants its lobbyists in Sacramento to support the legislation. The state would still have to allocate funds for the bill. It would have to be part of a one-time $20 million budget request.
Vice President Kamala Harris gave the commencement speech at Tennessee State University. She talked Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the possibility of Roe v. Wade being overturned. She told students that the world they're graduating into is unsettled. The vice president shifted her tone and gave the graduates advice about their future.
My advice to you is to be true to yourself. Hold close the values that your grandparents, your parents, your pastors, and your neighbors instilled in you. Have the courage and conviction to follow your moral compass.
Harris speaks to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy May 18th. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, parts of California could become safe havens for women across the nation who need abortions.
A student group at UCLA protested to get the UC system to change its investment strategies. I was there and got this story. The UC Divest Coalition at UCLA is demanding the UC system divest from the war industry. The group says student tuitions go to manufacturing weapons. Lex Von Clark wants his tuition to go to his education.
It's your money that they're taking, and instead of investing it in us, the students and workers that make this university run, they're investing it in war.
Last year, the UCLA student government passed a resolution supporting the UC Divest Coalition. Still, the UC system hasn't responded to the resolution. A coalition member who wants to be called N says students have the right to voice their beliefs.
We call for the full and complete divestment from all weapons industries and the disaffiliation with BlackRock and any other institution that invests in such industries.
Students held up signs and rehearsed chants. Speakers took turns to talk about divestment. Sonia Liu took part in the demonstration.
I believe it's really important that we should start looking towards divesting away from those industries and start looking towards supporting the students here on campus.
The UC Divest Coalition here at UCLA say they plan to continue their fight until their demands are met by the UC. Reporting from Los Angeles for Valley View News, I'm Natalie Sierra.
Los Angeles County's average number of daily COVID cases jumped 200% in 1 month. However, the increase hasn't affected the rises of hospitalizations or deaths. The county reported 1,800 COVID-19 cases and averaged more than 2,000 cases per day. Meantime, the White House issued a new warning. Biden's administration stated that there could be 100 million COVID-19 infections this fall and winter. The White House COVID-19 response coordinator, Ashish Jha, says Congress should provide resources. Jha is asking for $22.5 billion more for vaccines.
Gas prices again reached record highs. The national average for regular gas got to $4.32, climbing 13 cents in the past week. Prices at pumps nationwide in 2022 were higher than expected after markets failed to recover from a COVID-19 slump. The rise in gas prices is still slower than the overall rise in inflation. Gas prices would need to be at $5.30 in order to beat inflation.
Governor Gavin Newsom hopes to give Californians gas rebate checks in a few months. By October, Democrats and Newsom will determine who is eligible for gas rebates, everyone or just people in lower income brackets. Those eligible could get up to $400 per vehicle owned. The average price per gallon of gas in California is $5.80. In Los Angeles County, it's $5.86 per gallon.
Friday, a single-engine plane crash landed northwest of the Golden Gate Bridge in Marin Headlands, killing 2 people. Dead are Jennifer J.J. Fox and Michael B. Breyer. Investigators say the plane took off from Sacramento. They don't know if weather was a factor. The wreckage will be moved back to Sacramento for further investigations.
$19,000 worth of watches were stolen from a couple in West Hollywood last weekend. A woman victim said $1,000 Michael Kors watch and an $18,000 Rolex were taken. Investigators said one watch was stolen from the woman and the other was taken from a man she was with. Police said the suspects are a group of 4 to 6 men. They were wearing dark clothes and driving a Rolls-Royce.
The California Canyon Hermit Peak fire in New Mexico continues to spread. Crews have been battling the blaze for more than a month. The fire is the second largest wildfire in New Mexico history. It's a combination of 2 blazes ranging 12 miles northwest of Las Vegas, New Mexico. Fire officials say so far the fire burned 168,000 acres with 20% containment. It destroyed 170 homes. 15,000 more homes are in danger. President Joe Biden declared a major disaster in New Mexico.
The search is over for a former Alabama corrections officer and a convicted murderer. Officials say Vicky White and inmate Casey White, no relation, were found in Indiana. Vicky White suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound and was hospitalized. They escaped more than a week ago from the Lauderdale County Detention Center. District Attorney Chris Connolly had offered a reward for their capture.
I contacted the governor's office this morning and submitted a written request for her to give us the maximum reward possible under state law, which that's $5,000 per person.
Casey White was serving 75 years for a series of crimes. He was also convicted for a home invasion, carjacking, and a police chase.
Parents, teachers, and supporters gathered outside the Inglewood Unified School District last week to protest the closing of one of the city's elementary schools. Our reporter Celine-Stevens was there.
Not only in that process was the amount that was recommended.
Warren Lane Elementary School is one Inglewood school scheduled to close. Valentino Agundez has a 3rd grader enrolled there. She says more could have been done to help with funding to avoid closure.
We pay like 10% in property taxes, and that's supposed to go to our school, and it's not. And they keep blaming it on enrollment, but enrollment is dropping because they're not providing anything for the parents.
Agundez's son Ocean Leonard says he's sad about having to leave.
It's not that I hate going to a new school, it's just that I miss my friends.
The school is reportedly being closed because of low enrollment rates. IUSD has been in state receivership for a decade. The final decision to close the school rests with County Administrator Erica Torres, and she's already said she's closing Warren Lane Elementary. Diana Tekla-Gergish believes if more effort was put into improving schools, the enrollment rates wouldn't be so low.
Communicate with community members on what they need and what students need and what they need to be fulfilled in order to feel comfortable enough for their children to go to schools in their neighborhood.
Warren Lane is the last elementary school within Inglewood's 90305 zip code. Educator John Hughes says its closure will burden kids and parents.
These other school districts have 3 and 4 schools inside of their zip code. This community would have to transport all over the city. That's more stress, more time, more gas.
Hughes says that Torres has until June 30th to rescind her decision, but if this doesn't happen in time, the school will be permanently closed. Reporting from Inglewood for Valley View News, I'm Celine Stevens.
More to come on Valley View News. Costa Rica has a new leader. And Elon Musk makes a promise to Twitter investors.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? But now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Now let's go to Vanessa Garcia for some international news.
On the 77th anniversary of the end of World War II, Russia celebrated Victory Day. May 9th is one of Russia's most important national events. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says that Russia's victory parade is misguided.
We will never forget what our ancestors did in World War II, which killed more than 8 million Ukrainians. Very soon there will be 2 Victory Days in Ukraine, and someone won't have any.
Ukraine fought alongside the Soviet Union in World War II. In Zelensky's video, he says that evil has returned in different form and slogan. 2 members of the Irish rock band U2, Bono and The Edge, performed in a subway station in Kyiv, Ukraine. They gave a 40-minute show to a crowd of about 100 people. The musicians praised Ukrainians who are fighting for freedom from Russia. Ukrainian musician Taras Topolio says their performance was significant.
It's so powerful signal to Ukrainian people and to the whole world that they stand by us, that they support Ukraine.
In between each song, Bono and The Edge rallied the crowd. Meanwhile, missile strikes are carried out routinely across Ukraine. In Kyiv, air raid sirens are heard daily. Protesters threw red paint at Russia's ambassador to Poland. Sergei Andriy was at an event honoring Soviet soldiers who fought in World War II. Video on Twitter showed crowds shouting fascist at Russian officials. Others were holding flowers and Ukrainian flags. Russia's foreign ministry called the attackers admirers of neo-Nazism. Russia has made baseless charges that Ukraine is led by Nazis, even though its president is Jewish. Costa Rica's new president, Rodrigo Chavez, started his 4-year term on Sunday with a long message. He talked about the crime, drug trafficking, high cost of living, and long lines at the Social Security offices. He promised change. Costa Rica is a democratic country. Some fear that could change if the public tires of corruption and high unemployment. Chavez's party will control 10 of the 57 seats in the legislature. Back to you, Elizabeth.
Thousands marched on International Workers' Day in Los Angeles to support issues critical to hourly workers. Valley View News' Noe Ortega reports.
La semana pasada, en el Día Internacional de los Trabajadores, conocido como May Day, los manifestantes apoyaron a los trabajadores que creen que están desprotegidos por los gobiernos locales y estatales. Luis Ávila, Dice que él y muchos otros trabajadores indocumentados quieren contribuir a la sociedad.
Queremos ser parte de este sistema, queremos invertir en el país, queremos generar empleos, queremos de alguna manera ser parte del sistema, como ya lo dije, y es por lo que estamos luchando.
Había banderas de países como México, Guatemala, El Salvador y Estados Unidos. Un grupo llamado Coalición Answer ayudó a organizar la marcha. Cameron Hurd de la coalición Answer dice que hay similitudes entre las protestas de Black Lives Matter y las marchas del 1 de mayo.
Because police brutality generally kills workers. It's not like bosses and CEOs are the main ones who suffer from police brutality. It's not them who are constantly being harassed by the police.
Los manifestantes aseguran que quieren igualdad en el lugar de trabajo. Una empresa, Amazon, dice que quiere un lugar de trabajo que sea diverso y acogedor para los empleados. Tomás Centeno dice que los trabajadores son esenciales para las empresas y las naciones.
Yeah, I think when we say workers make society run, it means that, we recognize that all workers internationally, nationally help our society work together.
La protesta comenzó en Broadway y Olympic y terminó frente al Ayuntamiento de Los Ángeles, donde la gente que marchaba se quedó para escuchar a los miembros de Keep LA House. Reportando desde Los Ángeles para Valley View News, soy Noé Ortega.
The Justice Department said Thursday it's opening a new office to address climate change. Attorney General Merrick Garland says the office will work with communities most affected by climate change.
Environmental crime and injustice touch communities in all our cities, towns, rural areas, and on tribal lands.
Scientists say low-income areas and communities of color face larger risks from pollution. Reports show that more than 40% of Americans live in areas with unhealthy air.
Elon Musk told Twitter investors that he'd double or triple their money. He bought Twitter for $44 billion. An SEC filing revealed that Musk secured $7.14 billion from a group of 18 outside investors. He was confident that the investors would get double or triple the money they gave. Musk said their return could possibly be 5 to 10 times more. He also plans to lure tens of millions of paid subscribers to the platform.
President Joe Biden addressed inflation in a speech as midterms approach. Biden said he'll soon detail his plans for fighting inflation and lowering costs for working families. A poll found that 8 in 10 U.S. adults believe the federal government isn't doing enough to curb inflation. Inflation has continued to rise since August 2021. Biden said his main priority is getting prices under control.
Retail stores are facing a nationwide baby formula shortage. 40% of the top-selling formula brands were out of stock as of April 24th. Supply chain issues related to COVID-19 are a contributing factor. Also, manufacturers are struggling with packaging and labor shortages. There are also problems of getting critical ingredients for the formula. Walgreens, CVS Health, and Target limit the amount of formula customers can buy. The limit is 3 baby formula products for both in-store and online. Target lets people buy up to 4 products at a time. Prices have also spiked, with the most popular brands going up 18% over the last 12 months.
Students and faculty celebrated Cinco de Mayo at UCLA. Our reporter Bianca Sanchez was there.
UCLA celebrates Cinco de Mayo annually with performances by Grupo Folclórico and Mariachi de Uclatlan as part of a fundraiser.
We just want to carry on our traditions and just continue passing on our roots to our future generations. We're really happy to express our culture in every way possible, and this was one of those days.
This day shares Mexican culture. Dr. David Hayes Bautista says it's important to recapture the history of why Cinco de Mayo is celebrated.
Supported government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That is why we began celebrating Cinco de Mayo 160 years ago.
Today, Cinco de Mayo is celebrated through parades, mariachi music, Mexican folk dancing, and traditional foods. Marco Perez likes that these celebrations help remember his history.
I become more aware of my history, about what students are doing. It's really great to see our
future generation really embracing our roots, our history.
As UCLA celebrates the 160th anniversary of Cinco de Mayo, they hope to educate those on the importance behind the celebration and Mexico's victory over the French Battle of Puebla in 1862. Reporting from UCLA for Valley View News, I am Bianca Sanchez.
When we come back, CSUN's Dream Center and Veterans Resource Center speak up for deported veterans. Also, Gabriel Iglesias makes history at Dodger Stadium. Stay with us.
Hi, Meals on Wheels.
I'm Marco. I'm a college student and I volunteer as a driver for Meals on Wheels.
I think it's awesome meeting these people. I mean, they're so interesting. They've had so many wonderful experiences in life. Your community helps to raise you up into the person that you become. Meals on Wheels is a great way to give back to that community.
When you're running your own business and taking care of your disabled brother, you tend to learn about responsibility pretty quickly.
A Los Angeles judge ordered Isaiah Lee to stay at least 100 yards away from Dave Chappelle in the Hollywood Bowl. Lee is a suspect who attacked Chappelle on stage. Police say Lee had a pocket knife inside a replica handgun. The weapon didn't appear to be used in the attack. Lee entered a non-guilty plea and his bail is set at $30,000. The city attorney's office says Lee faces up to 18 months in county jail if he's convicted on all counts, plus a potential of up to $4,000 in fines.
On Saturday, Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias became the first comedian to perform at Dodger Stadium. The show is part of a 12-day Netflix is a Joke festival. The security was tight due to Dave Chappelle being attacked at the Hollywood Bowl recently. However, Iglesias says he wasn't worried about hecklers or people getting close. The comedian says he gave up a lot of hair, hope, and happiness to make the show happen. Sponsors say the sold-out comedy show is the biggest ever in Los Angeles.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness grossed an estimate of $185 million in ticket sales in its first U.S. opening weekend. This doubles the first opening of Doctor Strange in 2016. The first film grossed $85 million. The Multiverse of Madness is the biggest opener of the year. It outgrossed The Batman, which recorded $134 million in sales. The film picks up months after the events in Spider-Man No Way Home. Since Wednesday's international opening, the film has made $415 million so far.
CSUN's Dream Center and the Veterans Resource Center hosted photographer Joseph Silva to speak about deported veterans. I went to his photography exhibit to learn more. CSUN's Dream and the Veterans Resource Centers exhibited photographs by CSUN grad Joseph Silva. His photos of deported veterans were shown. He wants the exhibit to increase awareness of veterans who were deported and their personal stories.
To be in the U.S. military, that they become a U.S. citizen, and lo and behold, they're not. People fall through the cracks.
The National Immigration Forum reported the U.S. had 94,000 military veterans without citizenship in 2018. Some think post-traumatic stress disorder puts veterans at a greater risk of incarceration. Deported veteran Laura Meza was one of Silva's subjects.
We don't get to stay, we get deported, and some of us for 10 years more for life, so we're away from our families forever. Oh my God, this is severe punishment, this is cruel.
Students also heard from an ACLU lawyer and the head of the Veterans Resource Center about how to help deported veterans. Professor and director of CSUN's Tom and Ethel Bradley Center that worked in collaboration for the exhibit, Jose Luis Benavides, shares more.
It's a really important issue for our students, not only because of the veterans that are related to CSUN, but also for the large number of undocumented students that CSUN has.
The rest of Joseph Silva's work will be on display at the Museum of Social Justice until July 17th. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Elizabeth Campos.
A Northern California couple came home to a big surprise after returning from a trip. Gary Reitmeyer arrived home to find the house swarming with birds. They got in through the chimney.
It was like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. There were birds flying everywhere. I mean, it was crazy.
The couple says it took hours to get all the birds out of the home. The damage was extensive and expensive. The couple now has a $20,000 repair bill. Their insurance won't cover the damage due to an exclusion clause in the policy for birds.
A Dallas Maverick fan harassed and physically touched members of Chris Paul's family during a game. Paul addressed the incident in an explicit tweet following the game. It happened as Phoenix Suns played the Mavericks in Game 4 of the playoffs. Paul's mother, Robin, and his wife, Jada, were harassed. His children also witnessed the incident. The Mavericks organization released a statement saying it was unacceptable behavior and won't be tolerated. They kicked the fan out of the arena.
Over the weekend, the second round of the NBA playoffs continued. On Sunday, the Dallas Mavericks beat the Phoenix Suns 111-101. Luka Doncic scored 26 points to help Dallas tie the series at 2 games apiece. In Philadelphia, the 76ers beat the Miami Heat 116-108. James Harden scored 31 points. Joel Embiid scored 24 points and grabbed 11 rebounds. It was his second game back after missing the first 2 of the series due to injuries. The 76ers win tied up the series at 2 games apiece.
Sunday night, the Los Angeles Dodgers beat the Chicago Cubs 7-1. Manager Dave Roberts says the night was about Walker Buehler. In his 100th career start, Buehler pitched 7 innings to lead the Dodgers to a 6th consecutive victory. Buehler improved to 3-0 with a 0.43 ERA over his last 3 outings. Other Dodgers that shined were outfielders Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts. Bellinger contributed 3 hits and 1 RBI. Betts went 2 for 5 and scored 1 run. The Dodgers swept the 3-game series in Chicago. LA's road trip will continue this week when they face the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Philadelphia Phillies.
There's an umpire shortage for high school baseball games. The main reason is low wages for officials. Our reporter Brenna White looks at another surprising reason umpires are hard to find in places like Orange County.
Recently, high school baseball games in Orange County have been lacking umpires to officiate games on a regular basis. CIF umpire Brandon Hastings says one big reason is because of some coaches' behavior.
A lot of the coaches just want to argue and fight, so not fight, but they want to argue everything, and I don't think people are up to that anymore. So I think as we continue, start seeing less and less of younger umpires.
Umpires are so scarce that many high school freshmen and junior varsity baseball games have just one person officiating. CIF umpire Chris Mara says he's confident in his abilities when he's alone.
The only thing is that it just sucks when you don't have a partner, somebody to back you up, someone to go to if you have, because there's a lot of times there's calls that we can ask our partner for help with.
The umpire shortage can cause games to be postponed or even canceled because there's no one to call the game.
So you have baseball every single weekend because these teams want to play every single weekend, and you have a bunch of assigners that we call them just looking for us, and we can only go to one game every single weekend.
Not only is this umpire shortage affecting high schools here in Orange County, but also across the nation. Reporting from Tustin for Valley View News, I'm Brenna White.
That's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Natalie Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth Campos. For stories any time of the day, go to our website, csunvalleyview.edu. Thanks for watching.